Hi, everybody. Welcome to Catching Up. My name is John Benninger, and we're glad to have you here. My guest today, who we're going to be catching up with, is Jim Emme, the CEO of Now Health Group, a great company, one of the legacy companies in this industry that started in 1968, celebrating 52 years of bringing natural products and dietary supplements and personal care products to the world, and one of the few remaining independently owned companies that's still in this market. Today is Friday, April 10th, and let's catch up with Jim. Jim, welcome to the show.
Thank you, John. It's good to speak with you.
Yeah, it's good to see you. It's good to see anybody these days, Frank, with everything we're going through. So before we get started, or actually as we get started, most important, how are you and how are all of your colleagues there at Now?
Well, I'm doing very well, John. Of course, we're all taking our supplements and keeping an eye on our lifestyles to make sure that we don't get too sedentary and all this, and eat right and get plenty of sleep. So far, so good, thank goodness. Of all of our teammates, no one has tested positive so far. We do have 1,800 people throughout North America in the company, so we're prepared for the eventuality of when that might happen. We're practicing social distancing at every one of our locations. Large majority of our administrative staff are working from home, and it's challenged our IT folks a little bit, but you know what? It's all worked out quite nicely. And with that, you know what? We're in good shape, meeting the same challenges many other companies are as well, but thank goodness we're hanging in there.
That's great to hear. And I know that I've been to your headquarters there in Illinois, and it's a great facility. I'm guessing there aren't quite as many people there as when I visited that last time.
No, not that many. We typically have a 200 to 300 folks here. Right now, today, of course, being a lot of people would be off normally on Good Friday, we have less than 20 in the building at the moment, so we can distance quite well.
Yeah. Well, we're all having to learn how. I mean, as you can see, I'm talking to you right now from my home office / recording studio / kitchen. So we're all multi-purposing our spaces these days. So as you've had to deal with this and the social distancing and keeping the operations and the continuity and all that, what are some of the things that y'all have had to figure out on the fly here? I know all of our businesses were having to sort this stuff out, but I would love for you to share with us a little bit some of the things that you all have had to sort out and some of the approaches that you've taken.
Yeah, well, we've really, fortunately in the line of work we're a science-based company, and you've seen our manufacturing facilities, just like many in the industry, we're state-of-the-art and normally highly sanitary conditions as it is. We are taking extra sanitation steps. We've had to stagger shifts to make sure that people are properly distanced. The break room, we need to keep that sparse. We've taken tables out of there and chairs so that people aren't tempted to group together. We've certainly meetings, team meetings, and at the beginning of shifts of the operations. Those have been down to maybe 3 or 4 people that can spread out, and just so we get our communications across. From that end of it, we are disinfecting almost a surgical style disinfectant about every 2 weeks. And of course, we've got a process in place. If someone does test positive, we'll shut down for 24 hours, sanitize, put product on hold if we have to, if somebody had been handling product and the like, until we can determine whether or not there's been any risk at all. The other things that we've had to do is to work from home, I mentioned earlier. That actually has been quite successful. Most of our people are pretty conscientious and have been very productive and are getting things done. And you know what? This could be the new normal for many companies that we're going to operate this way. Biggest challenges really are just unanticipated, unprecedented demand. We had stocked up on a lot of raw materials that come from China with Chinese New Year's coming up. Nearly all the vitamin C in the world comes from China, for example, and that's one of the most popular immune products. Yeah. Name an immune product and they're selling. Everybody knows that. I've talked to other CEOs. It's there. the thing that we have a challenge, we've got a catalog of 1,500 products, different SKUs, and about 200 of those are immune products. So that's a major challenge for us. And everybody is hoarding immune products, or at least the retailers, almost like it was toilet paper.
Yeah.
So, we're encountering that. We've had to institute some rationing, so that not one customer wipes out all the inventory. We want to take care of where our roots are with our small retailers, and make sure that they get what they need. And it's worked out pretty well. Everybody's been very understanding with that.
Yeah.
So service levels have been there. Freight lines, of course, have shifted around because FedEx and UPS and the other carriers are also dealing with a lot of home deliveries right now. So that's shifted some of the pickup schedules and the like for the timing of getting orders out. We do a little bit of a direct consumer business. That's picked up. We've got the retail division here in the Chicago area called Fruitful Yield of 12 retail stores, 13 locations. And we've seen increases in business there and sales volume that we probably haven't seen in 12 to 15 years.
Wow.
People are really taking their health into their own hands and coming to companies like us to help meet their goals. Supply chain wise, we had a lot of contracts already been put into place, so we really haven't seen major price increases because of the shortages. I've heard stories that there's possibly some gouging going on whenever we've seen it. We've reported it to the FDA and the FTC so that they can follow up on it. Although it is getting to a point where a lot of those immune products have longer lead times. And that's just the reality of what we're dealing with. But we see the demand. We were probably about 40 to 50% above our operating plan in March. And the final figure, I've seen preliminary figures. I haven't seen the finals yet. And we've still got plenty of business to carry us through April. We're also getting some larger retailers that are trying to negotiate pre-purchases for the fall.
Wow.
Back before everything was ordered online, or orders were placed electronically with us, our big sales booms would happen when the two major trade shows would happen, Expo East and Expo West.
Yeah.
The other two times of the year where it would boost up would be first of the year for New Year's resolutions, and then back to school. Curiously, it looks like back to school may be another time when that hits. So it's almost like what's old is new again. Who would have thought that there'd be a shortage of vitamin C and a major demand of it? Elderberry products, another one that's are in demand. Olive leaf, echinacea, purpura, you name it, it's there. But I'm also looking at it as a big opportunity, John. We once again are able as an industry to introduce what we do to more consumers. And to me, I'm an optimist. I try not to be foolish about it. But the fact that more consumers are being introduced to our industry means that there are more that are probably going to trust us going forward and realize that, hey, here are companies that can support us with our goals. And that's a big deal to me. I like that. That said, the economy is really scary right now. In our industry, I've been on a few calls in Washington, and I was on a call with some White House staff level folks that actually had been previously calls talking about tariffs. And it's since segued right into this. And I had a gentleman, I'm the only one from our industry that's on some of these calls, and the staffer asked me how our business was. I said, well, I feel guilty saying it, but we're great. We just need help getting supply. And he said, well, you're in a bubble, Jim. You guys are one of 5 to 10% of companies or industries that are even able to be viable right now. And I just said, well, with respect, Mr. Secretary, I'd rather be in the bubble than on it. And, I think we all need to be grateful for that. But this, to me, it truly is an opportunity for all of us to shine and make a difference. That said, when the FDA announced that they're not doing routine inspections on incoming ingredients anymore a couple of weeks ago, that also puts a heavy responsibility on all of us in the industry, especially manufacturers, that we've got to make sure that we're thoroughly testing, as we should always be doing, and assuring that consumers are going to have a proper, safe supply chain to get things done. And you know what, I believe that we'll stand up and we'll deliver on that.
Yeah, I love that you said that. A couple of things that really hit home for me there. We are, I think, seeing an influx of completely new consumers, and this is going to be good for public health, not just for our business, but it's going to be good for public health because people are very rapidly learning about wellness and health and how to take care of themselves and their family. And I think these lessons, I hope these lessons will stick with people, that whether it's the healthy eating or even just, cleaning and washing hands and sanitizing things and being conscious of those sorts of things. And certainly the idea of proper nutrition and ways to take care of themselves. And companies like yours and many others that are dedicated to things like trust and transparency and quality, these are relationships, I think, that we can earn that trust and turn into long-term relationships. You mentioned something else, though, on the quality in the supply chain, and you and I have talked about this before. Unfortunately, there are people out there that are, in situations like this, and it's not just in our industry, it's in every industry, people just trying to make a buck. And one of the concerns that I have, and I think you share, when you see things like elderberry and other botanicals and really all products and ingredients flying off the shelves, that it creates that opportunity for some of those bad actors to try and get in there and intentionally, sell stuff that isn't what it's supposed to be. I know that we've talked before about adulteration and intentional adulteration, and you're passionate about that. Maybe you could just share a couple of thoughts for companies that are out there that might be watching this on what they might be able to do to not get caught up in that and fall victim to some of the fraudulent stuff that might be showing up in the market in times like this.
Well, there are a couple of motivations here to make sure that we're vigilant, that what we're buying is what it's supposed to be. And economic adulteration is probably the most popular way that the bad actors will be motivated to try to cheat. We should all be testing. We should all be inspecting. Some companies have different views of that. Now is not the time to do that. And let's be pragmatic about it. If we think Prop 65 is a plaintiff's attorney's dream in this situation, what if we're a company there's a company out there who isn't inspecting properly, who isn't testing through a qualified lab, a trustworthy laboratory, who isn't making sure that they're doing basic identity testing all the way down to the species level of a botanical, perhaps. If you mislabel, you're opening yourself up to civil litigation, not just violating the law with the FDA. And it really is about doing the right things for the right reasons. And, I'm not, like I said, I'm an optimist, I'm not an alarmist, but it's an opportunity for us to all just carry through, do the day right, make sure that we are ID testing. And anybody that finds a problem with a product or ingredient that's on the market, call me, let's talk about it, because we need to take action together on that as an industry, not just as individual companies. And I believe that the agencies will work with us if we do discover something like that properly.
Yeah, I know you've been a part of something that American Botanical Council and American Herbal Pharmacopoeia and some other groups, the group at University of Mississippi down there in Oxford, and many others are part of, called the Botanical Adulterants Prevention Program, that's working on a lot of this stuff, from tools to actually stay in front of this with the best-in-class testing, identifying what types of adulterants might be appearing in certain types of products so that QA labs and labs can find them and that sort of thing. And I know you won't mention it because in addition to being a great leader, you're a very humble guy, but I know you received the Community Builder Award from ABC here at Expo West with Mark Blumenthal, his name on it. And part of building and strengthening this community is exactly what you're talking about, coming together. I think that anybody who is concerned about adulteration in the supply chain would be well served to get involved with that group, BAPP, that we both participate in there. And you can go to the ABC website, herbalgram.com, and herbalgram.org, and check that out. What do you there at Now do specifically with testing? I assume your people are out there on the cutting edge, whether it's with that program or others, to try and stay in front of this, because the people intentionally trying to adulterate, they're trying to beat the system, and so the system's got to stay in front of them.
Well, it really comes down to a couple of things: our resources and our people. We've got over $200 million worth of analytical equipment at our locations where we're manufacturing. We've got testing capability that even some university labs don't have. But more importantly, we've got over 70 degreed chemists, graduate degree chemists, masters and PhDs, who are doing nothing but these tests day in and day out of incoming materials, but also in process materials. We test at every step of our production processes. And we also have a group of people who do nothing but develop new testing methods. And as we get new methods and they get approved and recognized by the American Oil Chemists Society or some of the other groups, we openly share those methods because we feel it's important to the industry that we all have the best of the best when it comes to doing these standards. It's not just altruism, it's good business that we make sure we take care of things. But we do over 16,000 tests a month. And that keeps us busy, there's no doubt. So but we're a science-based company, and we've made that investment. Our founder, Elwood Richard, was a physical chemist, and that was where his passion was, and that was his vision, was to always have that capability. Now, that doesn't mean we don't rely on quality outside laboratories. We absolutely do. So, but when you put them all together, you can make a big difference. And you know what? It's a lot less costly than having a problem and doing a recall.
Heck yeah. Well, Jim, one last question before I let you go. I know you're busy and there's a lot to do here, but there's a lot of uncertainty out there still, a lot of fear and all that. You are an optimist. What keeps you going? What as we get through this together and get to the other side of this thing, what keeps you going? What keeps you optimistic? What keeps you hopeful?
Well, I just know that we're making a difference in a lot of people's lives. We're helping improve their ability to meet their health goals. We can't do it all. It takes nutrition, it takes exercise, it takes a lot of good self-care. But we couldn't be in a better industry. I've got one of the best jobs in the world because of that, and it feels good. And being privately owned, we can make decisions to do the right things for the right reasons that oftentimes a publicly traded company can't always do. And okay, I'm biased about that, but the Richard family has empowered me to make decisions for the right reasons all the time, not just for profitability. We've got to make a profit or we can't sustain the business and grow. But put those all together, I'm very fortunate, John. And I don't know, it's always better to be optimistic because there are always opportunities. You just have to be open to see them.
Yeah, fantastic. Well, hey, man, thanks for taking some time with us today. If there's anything we can do, just let us know. And great to see you. As I say, with all this social distancing, it's just nice to stay connected and catch up a little bit. So thanks for being here.
It really has, John. Thank you very much for the opportunity. Take care. Be safe.
Yeah, you too, Jim. Thank you.